So 3 years ago,
3 years ago.
3 years ago, probably a bit over, we tested this 1.4 teleconverter with a 7200.
Because I bought it for myself on my birthday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I got a 7200.
Yeah.
And then got very disappointed and sold it.
Yeah, well, 3 years ago, we've seen no better difference using it. In fact, it was just taking away from the image quality a bit. Because it's the age-old debate, cropping in versus using a teleconverter, which reduces the image quality. So sometimes you end up about the same place.
Yeah.
Well, last month we reviewed the 2x teleconverter, which was better than expected.
Yeah.
But it was so inconsistent, wasn't it? It was just, there's a lot of image rendition problems with chromatic aberration and distortion, colour and saturation loss. In the end, it just wasn't worth keeping.
No.
So then I found a good bargain for this.
You always find a bargain.
I've waited a long time, so I got it for £450.
Right.
At the exhibition, it was £500.
Okay.
So
that is very good.
That's it.
And you'd expect generally a 1.4 to be, in some ways, better than a ×2 because you're not pushing it so far.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, you're 2 times stretching the optical quality of what you got. And I think that was the initial problem. Several months ago, I got my 200 to 500, I got rid of it because it's too heavy, too slow. I got my 400 4.5, which is ultra light, and it's a fast 4.5. So it ticks 2 of those boxes, but it's not long enough.
No.
So this is where I'm hoping this saves the day, because for birding, I'm really far away.
Because that makes it a 560.
6.3.
6.3.
Which is quite reasonable.
Yeah.
About 2,000 photos later, I've tried to get the comparisons in real-world situations, because with birds, I've tried to take it off, put it on again, which I can do pretty quick now with this. But it's always hard because obviously the birds move and things. So in this example, I've shot wide open with both the teleconverter and the lens on its own, 6.3 and 4.5. They're very similar images. They both have difficulty with the chromatic aberration on the edges there, but it's really bright behind. And this is a blackbird. It's one of the most challenging birds to capture because it's black, obviously. So bringing up the shadows is always an issue next to a bright background. I would say it's almost a draw here. I can't tell really any difference between the two images. Well, look, I actually sent you them today, didn't I? I sent you 3 blind tests, side by side. Didn't tell you which was which and what kind of happened.
I think on one of them at least, I thought the one on the left was very marginally the best.
Yep.
The other two, could have been either. Possibly, perhaps to guess, it would have been the one on the right, but there was just nothing in it really.
So. When I first went out with it, I was really hopeful and expecting a lot, and I was a bit disappointed. But then I went home and did a test chart on my dartboard. I found the best optimal conditions to use this in. So I found that shooting at f8, the rendition gets a lot better. So I want to show you real life examples. I don't believe in sharpness charts indoors on tripods because that's just not how I shoot. I walk around nature preserves and parks and woods and shoot handheld. And this is what I'm going to be showing you today. Here's a goose. With a teleconverter, I cropped in 150%. Without the teleconverter is 250%. There isn't too much difference. While cropping in without the teleconverter, it's obviously going to pixelate a bit. If you look at the eyes of the goose here, you can see it has just a crisper rendition, and look at the beak as well. Stopping down to f8 with a teleconverter really cleans up the image, as in the image rendition really comes together. It's sharper, but also the image containment is a lot better with the details and the edges. I can see on my screen here the actual pupil of the goose and the brown surrounding edges, and with the 400 without the teleconverter, I can't see that at all. So you have to stop down to f8 to get much better rendition.
Right.
At 6.3, it wasn't much change than just cropping in. Oh, we need to talk about the 7200 again, because that's what we tested on 3 years ago. Yeah. And my tests are the same. There is hardly any difference. Even stopping down with this, I hardly noticed any difference. So I just wouldn't use it on the 7200s. In the field, with perching birds, if I found a bird, I would have it on 1000th, then I'd quickly switch it to like 500. I've even got good results at 25th of a second with the teleconverter, handheld. And it's all about getting your ISO down. Because if a bird's perching and relatively still, obviously you take like a series of them, like maybe like 5 photos, and one of them will be in focus, and then one of them will be the really low ISO, and that's where I seen the difference in rendition.
Right.
But overall, I'd say on average about 5% better image rendition when I look pixel peak
At the most.
and 5 to 10% at best in good light.
Okay.
On a big screen on a computer.
So the only other benefit is enlarging the subject in your viewfinder. Is that a benefit or not?
Well, you can do that in DX mode. If you want to just use DX mode. And that brings on to focusing. So focusing, I haven't seen much difference using the teleconverter. Okay. It's slightly slower sometimes at acquisition, but then sometimes the subject is larger in the frame, so it picks it up there.
Right.
But I've hardly seen any difference with focusing. And that brings me on to image rendition issues, which there isn't any, I don't think. I've looked at chromatic aberration. There's a bit of contrast and colour loss, but hardly anything. When I put them into Lightroom, it automatically sorts it out. Right. I've got no issues with that, which the 2 times had a lot of problems with. So this is optimal settings for both the teleconverter and without, f8 and 5.6. And on my bigger screen, I can tell that the teleconverter has done a better image rendition again. In this situation, I can see the feather details. They just have better edges to them. As you can see, the colours are really nice on both. Really similar there, I can't see any difference. So to note, I've edited the photos on all these examples for a fair test, because with the teleconverter, you should have more resolution to edit and make better edits with. Shooting wide open is okay, but shooting at f8 is optimal. But that's the massive caveat with that, isn't it? Because I've got my 400 4.5 and I'm stopping down to f8 with this. Yeah. It's a massive difference and a massive challenge to get my shutter speeds down. You have to take it case by case. This example is maxed out my ISO of the Z8, 25,600, with the teleconverter 1,000th per second. Perfectly usable image, especially without cropping in. It's a nice image like that, but it just shows you can get sharp results still with the teleconverter at maximum ISO. In this situation, it would have been better not to use the teleconverter, shoot wide open at 4.5.
So what's the point then?
Well, it's with wildlife lenses, I'm discovering, I've looked at loads of YouTube comparisons. Everyone says it's marginal, the differences with these things. I think it's about extracting those fine little details of the eyes and the feathers. And this gives you like 5 to 10% generously.
I couldn't see 10%. Yeah.
But it just gives you that image rendition a tiny bit more when I'm trying to crop in as far as I can and extract all the little feather details.
Somebody only looks at your photos on an iPhone anyway. So.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I mean, I still come back to I'd rather put the money towards
another lens.
A longer lens, to be honest. It's 500 quid, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I enjoy extracting this bit more detail. I've enjoyed it so far at the moment, so it gets my stamp of approval. But I was
500 quid, it's a third of the way towards the 180 to 600.
Well, that's the thing. What do you get for your money? So I spent 2.5, and with this was about 500. It's about $3,000 in total. My kit, wildlife kit. What can you get for $3,000 that would be better? And the options are the 600 6.3, but that's a 600 lens. You've got no weight. You can't.
There's no flexibility.
No flexibility, and it's not low light like a 4.5.
Yeah.
And then, well, you've got much more expensive lenses. You obviously got the 600 f4 and the 400 2.8, which are ridiculously priced.
Well, 600 6.3, you're shooting faster than that at f8.
That's true. Yeah, it's right. Yeah. I mean, it will be better.
Be a lot bigger and heavier, no doubt.
No, it's not that bad.
Isn't it?
No, it's a light lens as well.
Right. No, right. If somebody put on the table in front of you 600 6.3 and you're 400 plus a teleconverter, which would you go for?
I'll go for the 600 lens.
Yeah.
Because the focal, look, a lot of viewers have said a long time ago to us, get the focal length you need.
Whack it on eBay then, with your lens.
Yeah, but I can't. I'd
sort yourself out.
But I like the 400 as well at 4.5. I've used that in dense woodland at low light, and it does give you that ability. But then you can go to F mount, I suppose. The 500 PF. Never seen a bad review of the 500 PF, and it's more close to the it's 500, 5.6. Then you got the FTZ problems. Will it be fast? Will it be good at VR? Will it be good at focusing? It's a mystery. Then you got really expensive f-mount lenses like the 600 f4, which is still £6,000.
Are you trying to justify your purchase of these 2 bits of kit?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the thing, like I said, for £3,000, there's nothing else that you can get that's going to be better. If I traded these in, I wouldn't get much for them.
Well, no,
and I think with the wildlife lenses, you're only getting little bits extra. You're paying a lot more to get a bit more. So it's not as good as I thought wanted it to be, but it's still useful. So does it get your stamp for approval?
No.
No.
I had one, sold it,
yeah.
And nothing you've done since has really convinced me that was... It's not as bad as I thought it was at the time, but there's nothing there to...
It's better on my 400 lens, definitely.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have these, and is there a better way to use it that I haven't used it yet? Does it entice you to get one or not get one? Let's ask our viewers, is it worth the money? Is it worth getting? These are 2 examples I'm extremely happy with. Best examples, the closest I've ever got to a robin, but also the quality that I've been striving for a long time. And I shot at 1/25th of a second, so there's a tiny bit of motion blur maybe, but generally it's absolutely stunning quality. I can't imagine a better image rendition than this, really. Well, I've never seen it. The question is, will I get the same results without the teleconverter? And I managed to take off the converter for this one on the right here, and you can see that the texture detail is beautiful as well.
It'd be really interesting to try the 180-600, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because that's a 6.3 at the end, but...
Yeah, and you're talking about 560 at f8 with some cheaper
get the best out of it, but I bet it's the same with the zoom lens. I bet you have to stop down with that. But we don't know. Hopefully Nikon have been in touch with us.
Oh.
And I've asked for the 100-400 versus the 180-600.
Hopefully borrow some lenses.
Borrow some lenses off them. So yeah, that'll be really exciting, and that'll be a real test. And that'll be great for you as well, because you still don't have any.
No, I don't. I still don't have a longer lens.
Right. See you next time.
See you next time.